What's a toxic trait you recognize in yourself? Story 1. I get very annoyed when people tell me basic information assuming I don't know it. If they were condescending or something, then maybe I'd be safe. But no, I am a massive prick when it comes to this. They are just trying to help, but I always take it as, oh, he doesn't know this, he's an idiot. I mostly blame my mom for this. Story 2. I'm one of those people who will jump full blast into a brand new hobby, but then promptly quit when it turns out I am not immediately great at it. This has led to a lot of credit card debt, unfinished projects, and unused stuff around the house. Edit. Yes, this is definitely due to ADHD. I've been diagnosed twice in my life, but am unfortunately not currently medicated. Story 3. I never really have strong feelings about anything. I'm very apathetic. I've noticed recently that I also lie compulsively about little things sometimes. I also have a pretty chronic inferiority complex, and my baseline is to assume that everyone thinks I'm really stupid. I also feel like I don't love my friends as much as I should. I could quite happily never see most of them ever again. Story 4. I'm not sure what to call this, but I have this thing where I cannot stand being around people I have nothing in common with, whether it's friends or family, etc. Something in me is just so against faking. Like I can relate to someone for whoever's sake. On top of that, I have an extremely low social battery unless I'm around people I grew up with. It's taking a toll on my marriage. Story 5. Codependent. I'm learning that it's due to generational trauma. I finally restarted therapy and being honest with the therapist and myself and others. I have many regrets, but I'm determined to be a better person and build the life I want and deserve. Codependence Anonymous has been very helpful for me. Story 6. I am very controlling and inflexible with my beliefs. I think this is related to my own upbringing with having a disability. I've had very little control of my life and medical/health/future choices. I have been shut down and made to feel stupid and like my opinion is worthless. As my parents age and lose control of me, I'm starting to make my voice heard. I also feel like it's got a lot to do with controlling outcomes and avoiding getting myself hurt by them. As far as being inflexible with my beliefs, that I think is also a trauma response from not being heard or taken seriously by my family. Because I was always made to feel stupid and dumb, I made sure to always do my research before I opened my mouth. Therefore, if I know you're wrong, I'm going to fight till my last breath on it. The only way I'll ever change my mind is if they have compelling evidence against my own beliefs. I'm more than happy to relinquish control or change beliefs if people prove they're worthy enough for it. Story 7. I'm extremely vain. To be fair, I work very hard on holding my appearance to a high standard. I've been in the gym for a very long time and do work hard for the money that it takes for everything else. But the vanity comes from a place of major insecurity, and that in itself is majorly toxic as well. I wouldn't say I put this on other people, though, but it can be an issue that comes out in different ways in romantic relationships. Story 8. My moods aren't something I always have control of, so some jokes I'll laugh at one day will also hurt my feelings. I could be having a good day, but sometimes my mood just drops. I hate this about myself. And if I fight against the bad mood, I just cry. It's hard to explain to my partner, and it's hard for them to understand it's not their doing. Also, I'm stressed in loud social settings. Sometimes it becomes impossible for me to talk with people, so it looks like from the outside that I'm in a bad mood or upset. I forget things to the point I'm convinced I never heard of the thing or plan. I realize often too late that I am the wrong one. Story 9. Sometimes I can just complain and complain and complain without even realizing how negative I'm being. You don't realize how much energy complaining/negativity takes out of you until you make the conscious decision to stop doing it. I'm working on it, but some days are still difficult. Story 10. I'm a terrible loser. I can't enjoy any game if there is competition involved. It will upset me so much to lose. More so if someone is showing pride for their good performance. Makes me angry. I was raised with expectations of always outperforming everyone. It's not healthy, and I don't like that I'm that way. Story 11. I create ridiculous situations in my head and allow my anxiety to control and cripple me. I'm working on it and actually making lots of progress, but it's caused me many problems. I also get incredibly defensive if I feel like I'm being looked down on in any way. Edit. Definitely a self-esteem thing, which always makes you take a good hard look in the mirror. If you experience this, go to therapy, start finding ways to build yourself up. It goes a long way. Story 12. Procrastination and barely any patience, which usually plays into each other. I feel like I need to be great at something even when just starting it and being ass at that new activity gives me anxiety. Absolutely awful at taking criticism and get really defensive. I used to be pretty manipulative and had intense anger issues as a teen, but I've come a long way on those problems, and the older I get, the more zen I get. Story 13. Not wanting to rock the boat. I have started to learn to speak up for myself through a supportive spouse, great friends, and amazing therapy. I can call my parents out. I can cut friendships that are toxic. If I can't take care of myself, then I can't take care of others. Story 14. I'm terrified of confrontation and a people pleaser. I don't ever say what's on my mind because I'm so concerned with hurting the other person, coming across as rude / mean / insert negative adjective here, or what they'll think of me. Mostly what they'll think of me. It leads to a lot of frustration in relationships because I can't tell my partner what I want or need or how I really feel. I wish I could say I'm working on this, but sigh, I probably need therapy. Lol. ETA, people pleaser. Story 15. I think everybody deserves rights and is ***, fundamentally *** equal. But in general, as a person living their life, I think I'm better than some people. It's mostly people I hate. Creeps, rapists, people who mistreat my friends, etc. If there's someone I don't like, I will treat them as if they don't exist or roll my eyes and walk away if they come near me or try to initiate. I'm perfectly happy with being this way. I curate the people around me to be the people I like and love. But it is a little toxic because it makes some people, generally non-confrontational people, uncomfortable. Story 16. My inability to cut myself slack or have pride in my accomplishments, which is also combined with extreme procrastination and lack of motivation. By the time I finally do something, I feel no pride in it because I took so long. Case in point, today I finally got my driver's license at 28. Story 17. I fall in love with my ideas. I'm way too passionate about my views and think them over way too much, so when it comes up, I tend to defend my opinions way too passionately. Then, like everybody else, life happens, time passes, I grow older, and my ideas change. This would be normal, except I look like an absolute asshole because I was defending something else so fanatically a few years ago, and now my views changed. I need to chill a bit and learn to be more like, this is my opinion, but you have yours, and I respect that, and so on. I'm working on it. Story 18. I basically consider everyone stupid and incompetent and treat them as such. It sometimes makes me treat them with little empathy. I also don't consider personal or mental issues well. There are still 20 or so people I consider competent. But when I tell someone to sew something, I expect it done, no labor pains. Just give me the baby. I get very upset when the baby is not presented. The solution is usually very obvious to me. I'll add him quite high up in management, and I don't have anyone under me that is younger than me. I sort of expect people with more experience to be able to sort the issue. Of course, everyone has their own skills. I'm good at finding a solution to problems and executing even well outside my field. I effectively judge people on my greatest strength. Yet others with a lot of empathy judging on that characteristic would probably look down on me. Story 19. I have the worst defiance if someone tells me to do something. Even if I was jazzed and ready to do a task, if you tell me to do it one too many times, my brain instantly is like, well, now I'd rather die than do that task. It's so annoying for everyone involved. ETA. It's hilarious to me that this was downvoted, but okay, I guess. Story 20. I have very little care about most things. If my significant other cheats on me, if my car breaks down, if any negative thing happens to me, I simply just don't care anymore. Not as in, I just shrug it off and it doesn't bother me. I mean, I do not care. If my SO cheats on me, I just leave with no plan and figure it out in the moment. If my car breaks down, I just let it sit and forget about it and find other options until I remember about it a few months later. It's a double-edged sword. Story 21. I literally cannot handle criticism. Anytime my partner and I are talking about something about me that I perceive as criticism, I will instantly become combative and turn the argument around. I've noticed it more now than ever before. Does anyone have this, and what can I do to stop it? I also have ADHD, so rejection sensitivity dysphoria is a huge thing for me. But I don't want it to hurt my relationship. I've coped with 90% of the symptoms fairly well, but this is one I really need help with because it will destroy my relationship if I can't fix it. Help? Story 22. I value myself based on how others value me. If no one seems to care about me, I don't care about myself. I mean, I still don't even if they do, but like I at least am a little happy if someone finds me to be helpful, /funny / etc. My parents always told me I'm too arrogant, and surprise, they were neglectful, but validated me if I was too in my class. So eventually I overcorrected, and despite still being really good at stuff academically, and people telling me I'm smart and kind and all that jazz, I thought of myself as only being worthy if people appreciated me, even though on paper I'm very worthful. Story 23. I'm selfish. I can be ignorant of others. I'm easily frustrated. I can struggle to manage extreme emotions. I can be judgmental. I base how things should be done on my own abilities and can often forget that something simple for me might not be for someone else. There's probably a few more, to be honest. It's a large part of why I've disliked myself for so long, but I try to work on this side of myself every day, and I try to be a better person than I have been. Story 24. I can hardly make a decision for myself. I don't trust my own instinct. Besides the mundane decisions like what to eat or what to buy, I require at least a couple of people's opinion before I act. And if I do make a decision for myself, I need to ask others to validate my decision to reassure myself that I made the right choice. Probably trauma-based, but still. Story 25. I'm alarmingly aloof, but completely high maintenance. I hate myself, but think I'm better than everyone. I do what I want 9/10 times, nothing dangerous or truly problematic. I am rigid and unyielding. I don't talk about my feelings because, well, I'd rather not, but rely on sarcasm and cynicism to convey my needs. How I've managed to be married for 10+ years is beyond me. Maybe my spouse is also unhinged, or maybe it's a matter of finding someone whose crazy meshes with your own. Story 26. I push myself aside for others. My jealousy, overthinking / overanalyzing situations and possible outcomes. I hate confrontations, but will argue about every tiny thing with my partner as a form of playfulness. Only he doesn't always see it that way, and I get that. Story 27. All the women on my mother's side of the family will hunt you down to the ends of the earth to exact revenge if you cross them. My father is the living embodiment of getting over it. I'm torn between being a vindictive bitch and being way too laid back. Past year, I've been a lot less angry due to sorting out some life issues, and am way more liable to let stuff go, but it's still hard even when I'm actively reminding myself. Story 28. I let my wife get a bunch of animals in our small apartment without speaking up as to why it's a bad idea. And now I'm miserable, can't get a single moment of peace. I literally just got home from a hard day, walk in and get blasted with the smell of shit and kitty litter. Then I see one of them had explosive diarrhea which sprayed on the door and the walls. Then he walked through it and tracked it through the house. Oh, and I won't even bring up the indoor bunnies. Story 29. Mabilis mawala ng gana. Once na na-disappoint na ako, ayoko na. Kahit gaano pa ka-interesado yung other person. Once na na-down na ako, bahala na siya sa buhay niya. Kumbaga, I'll just go and do my own thing and move on. If you're still stuck sa huling interaction natin, nasa sayo na yun. Not my problem anymore. Story 30. Whether it's out of a perfectionism or just laziness, I'm not sure, but procrastination. In my mind, I can't have screwed up yet if I didn't do it yet. And if I wait a little longer, I'll be better prepared to get it right when I do try. It's not healthy because I delay doing things that would be good for me far too long thanks to this mindset. Story 31. I used to be overly helpful towards people at my workplace, when in fact they were talking smack behind my back, calling me names. I decided to just do my job and cut ties with people one by one. It's been over decades since I've had any new friends or any contact with people. Helping has literally bit me in the back on too many occasions. Story 32. Tunnel vision. I've tried opening myself to others' interests to make them happy so I'm not so stubborn and fixated on my interests, but I was making myself miserable when I just couldn't get into what they were into. And this in turn made me feel like a bad person for not being able to enjoy it. Story 33. I get annoyed and jealous if my friend spends time with other friends. We used to chat every night, and now it's like once a week. She has set date nights with them, but the set night for me is barely an hour before both of us are exhausted. It's not fair to get mad when she has other things going on, but after some years of this, it's my fault if I stick around still. Story 34. I'm not reciprocating enough on my end of the relationships I have with my friends. I used to blame it on me, an introvert, or that circumstances change. People's futures, new family priorities, just basically growing up and growing apart, etc. But I know a big part of it is because I'm just not trying. Story 35. I can often be an insufferable know-it-all. I really like to share random shit I know because I think I'm insecure about my own intelligence and want other people to think I'm smart, because nobody really thought I was smart growing up. So now I just digest a shit ton of information and regurgitate it whenever something tangentially related comes up. It's probably why I'm on Reddit so much. I have a constant need to provide commentary on everything so that people will give me the validation I need to feel like an intelligent person. Story 36. Due to childhood trauma. I'm pretty sure I have a lot of the qualities you'd find in a sociopath. I'm good at manipulation, can be emotionally cold. I read people very easily. I try endlessly to turn that part of me off. I also tend to mirror strong personalities around me, projecting them outwards unconsciously when I feel insecure or vulnerable. It can be hard to find my way back to me sometimes. Story 37. I talk over people. Halfway through any sentence, I've already evaluated and understood what is being conveyed and will begin my response before I forget it. When people tell me stories, I tell them similar stories from my life. I do this to share a bond of experience, but apparently this is called one-upmanship and means I'm a bad person. I will often ask people to repeat themselves because I haven't heard them, but then when they start responding, I realize I know what they are going to say. I don't even know WTF that's about. Story 38. When I'm angry but don't know what I'm angry about because I'm overwhelmed, sometimes I'll latch on to something I know I can be angry about, even if it's something on a normal day that wouldn't bother me. I've worked really hard to recognize this and work on being better about it, stepping away from everything to ask myself what I'm actually upset about. It's not easy. If I'm wrong, I will give an apology for exactly why I was wrong and explain, not as an excuse, but so people know I recognized how I was wrong and how I hurt them. Story 39. Two horrendously negative traits I realized about myself that I ought to fix some time and should start doing so by vocalizing them. Thinking, if I can do it, so can you, everyone else. If people praise me for being able to do something by saying they can't do it, I get irrationally angry because in my mind, the only difference is I've put in the time and effort to practice language, baking, programming, etc. The only reason I'm able to do anything is because I've tried to do it and stuck to it for at least a short while. I guess I see it as them discounting the work I actually put into developing my skills and implying that I was just born with it. I ought to just be happy with the praise rather than flipping it and getting angry. If even one person I disagree with is in a group of people I'm with, I would disregard everyone else and focus all my energy into hating that one person. I've ruined many events and get-togethers for myself because the only thing I could think about the whole time is how much I dislike that person, whether it's warranted or not. I ought to just enjoy the company of others rather than focusing my energy on negative things. Story 40. Working on too many projects at once, even altruistic ones, wanting to do my best, but allowing my ADD mind to overwhelm me and over-rationalize every minute detail until I take forever to complete the project S, instead of just focusing on getting the task done without wasting precious time over-analyzing and ultimately feeling like a disappointment to myself or others. I hate that feeling of disappointing others with delays and self-sabotaging my own reputation. Story 41. I immediately mirror someone's annoying behavior, but in a less severe fashion. Like if someone bangs doors, I'll close my door slightly less hard so it still makes a noise, just not as bad. Or if someone has a tendency to interrupt others mid-sentence, I will sporadically interrupt them too, just not as much. What I've found is that people are aware of their inconsiderate behavior, but they just feel entitled to keep behaving that way. However, they become easily agitated when it begins happening back to them, but can't raise an objection because I'm not as bad as they are. As you can imagine, I have few friends, but the friends I do have are of supreme quality. I have no patience for people who are inconsiderate of others, and that is unfortunately almost everyone.